What's up, everyone? I'm Scott, Edge of 3D. That's a Creality K1 Max. We're going to install Moonraker, and then we're going to install the graphic user interfaces of Mainsail and Fluid. Show you what it's all about. I'll show you how I do it. Stick around. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since Earth. I've been really super busy with work, and I've had some family life things get in the way. Anyway, work settled down. I got moved into my new place. Family settled down as much as family can be, and it's time to get back to working on printers. So I've got this Creality K1 Max that Creality sent me. Actually received it right after I got home from Earth. It showed up just a couple days later. Been printing with it ever since. It's been a fantastic printer. I have yet to have a single failure or problem with it, but all the rage since they unlocked the machines is rooting them and going in and poking around in them. So we're going to root this machine. I'm going to show you the way I do it. I'll show you the GitHub that I use to get some of the stuff, but I don't necessarily do it in the order they do it in. I'll show you my way. It's worked on several other machines. Hopefully it works this time. So stick around. Let's jump onto the computer and I'll show you what I do. So this is the GitHub. I'll put a link to it in the video description down below. This person has done a phenomenal job. They've come up with this installer script. So when you get to this page right here, you're going to want to come over here and you're going to want to click on this link. Go ahead and click on that. And over here on the right hand side is all of the information that you need. Now, I don't do it in the order they say, and I'm going to show you what I do. So the very first thing I do is jump into install and upgrade rooted firmware. Scroll down here in the skip the self startup check. You're going to want to click on this, the debug jump self-test zip, download that file, and we will go ahead and just open that file. There's no need to extract it. We'll give it a second here. Maybe it'll open. There we go. And take a blank USB drive. So this one's got over the air, it's got an image on it, so we're just going to go ahead and delete that out. And let's just take this debug jump self-test, drag it down to that drive, go ahead and click on it, it's there, eject the drive, and then take that USB drive and plug it into your K1. Now the very next thing I do here is I come back up here, reset factory settings. Click on this file right here, this Creality K1 Reset Utility zip file. Just go ahead and click on that, which I've already downloaded it, so it shows up as a number 2. Double click that. It'll open up this screen. Put in your printer's IP address. And if you don't know where to find your printer's IP address, I'll show you right quick. The easiest way, instead of going and searching through all of your IPs on your network, is go to your screen and you'll take and hit the gear icon, hit your network, and right there, give you your IP address. That's not what I wanted to do. Right there will give you your IP address. 192.168.0.158 is mine. So go ahead and enter that IP address. Click reset, and that will wipe everything out on the printer and restore it back as if you just took it out of the box with whatever the current firmware is that's installed on your machine. Now what we did with that USB drive that we put in there is, if you do this reset and you don't have that self-test override plugged in there, it's going to come up and ask you to go through all of the normal startup procedures, selecting your region and time zone and everything else. By having that plugged in there, it'll just go ahead and boot to the normal screen. We'll give it here a minute. And there we go. There's our normal screen. So We'll jump back on the computer here and install and update rooted firmware. I am not going to use 1.3.3.5. I've already installed that on a couple other printers, and I don't think it was quite ready for prime time. So we're going to go ahead and click 132.31. Same thing, download it. You're going to have this pop up, say it's detected issues too large to scan. Go ahead and download anyway. And Windows might throw an error up over here. It does. It says could harm your device. Do you want to keep it anyway? Click keep. And then we'll just jump back over to here. And the next thing you want to do is grab another thumb drive, or you can use the one you got plugged in there. But grab another thumb drive if you have an extra one around. Plug it in, and you're going to want to put this image on that thumb drive. And we'll go to our downloads. We'll take that image that we just downloaded, 132.31. We will drag it down, drop it on that thumb drive. There it is. As soon as it's on there good, eject that thumb drive and take it over to your machine. So over at the machine, I'm going to go ahead and unplug that thumb drive that I just put in there. We're going to plug this one in, and it's going to come up and say a new version of firmware is detected and ask us if we want to install it, and we are going to go ahead and install it. There we go. That's the one we just put on there. 1.3.2.31. We'll click upgrade, and we'll let it go through and do its install. Okay, there we go. The new firmware is installed, and it's going to pop up again, and it's going to try to get us to go through the entire setup process. And there it says to, after the upgrade, please recalibrate starting the print team task. Just click cancel and agree to the privacy policy. Yes. There it is. It wants us to go through the entire startup process again. So what I'm going to do, power the printer off, swap the USB drives, put the override back in there, and we'll power it back up, and you'll see it'll skip this. Now, as it powers back up, you'll see it'll go through the boot screen, and it'll come up just to showing you the current home screen. And there we go. There's our current home screen. And by doing the factory reset and all that, we are now disconnected. We don't have an IP address or anything. So click your gear icon, click your network. Select your network and enter your network key. And you'll see it'll pop up here in just a second, and my router will reassign it the same IP address. So there we go on that. Now, from here, we want to root it. So we got to scroll down here, root account information, click on that, click on the checkbox that says you've read that entire thing, and then you've got to wait on that 30-second timer to count down. When it gets down to 0, then you can click the OK. And there's our 0. We can click the OK now, and that gives you the account root, password Creality_2023. That's the same on every printer. Just click OK. Your home icon, there we go. That's it for what we need to do on the printer, and we'll jump back over here onto the computer, and I'll show you what to do next. You're going to have to SSH into it. I use PuTTY. So 192.168.0.158, and it's going to come up with a screen like this, and your potential security breach because the host key does not match cache for this server. It's all good. It's safe. Just click accept. And then here you follow the root and Creality at _2023. And if this is your first time ever working in a Raspberry Pi like this on SSH, it's okay. You won't see passwords. And if you're not paying attention, you type them in wrong. So when we get to this screen right here, what we want to do is, let me narrow this down a little bit so we can have them both on here. Let's get rid of this. I'm going to go ahead and stretch this out because we're going to need it all here in a minute. What you want to do next is scroll back down here to skip the self-startup check. Click on this right here to copy it. Come over here, just right-click, hit enter, and that adds that skip to the motherboard so you don't have to have the USB drive plugged in. Then from there, the next thing we want to do is installation helper script. Right here, this first line, copy it, right click, hit enter, and it will install everything we needed there. And then down here to the third line to run the command, copy it, right click over here, hit enter, and there we go. There's our installation helper. So we want, number one, we want to install stuff. So let's hit number one. And it'll bring up this menu right here. I don't install everything. I typically don't install fluid because I use Mainsail, but for this video we'll put fluid on there so you can see the difference between the two of them. So you're going to want to install 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 you don't have to click on because it's already installed from one of the previous items up here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 if you want to make noise with the machine. I don't, but we'll install it anyway. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. I will put a list in the video description down below of each one of my install. Now, 2 of these you're going to have to answer an extra question on. Number 9, it's going to ask you if you are running Prusa Slicer. Click yes, because Prusa Slicer, Orca Slicer, Super Slicer, they all use the same engine. And number 16, screws tilt adjust support. It's going to ask you if it's a K1 or a K1 Max. That way it knows the size of the bed. So we're going to jump on here. We're going to start at 1, work all the way down to 18. Okay, here's where it comes up and asks if you're using Prusa Slicer. Just click yes and hit enter. And here's where it comes up and asks you if it's a K1 or K1 Max. That way it knows what size bed it's working with. Obviously this is a K1 Max. If you're running a K1, same thing, same install. You just put K1 in there. Okay, that is it. We have Mainsail and fluid, well, Moonraker and Mainsail and fluid, and all this installed on the printer now. So that is it. We can go ahead and close out this window. We don't need in there for the SSH anymore. And let's go ahead and jump into the printer here. So it's your IP address, which mine's 192.168.0.158, semicolon 4409 is Mainsail, 4408 will be fluid. So let's go ahead and open up Mainsail. There you go. There's our printer, and we'll go ahead and open up fluid in another tab here. And there's what fluid looks like. So first thing we got to do, I'm going to do it in Mainsail, is we got to go in and activate the camera. So over here, gear icon, upper right hand corner, click on that. Go ahead and name your printer. And then scroll down to the bottom over here on the left side of the interface settings, webcams. You've got to add a webcam. You've got to name your webcam. Well, it would help if I could spell. And then click Save Webcam. And you'll see, there we go. There's our webcam came up. Now, I don't like having my webcam over here on the right-hand side, so we're going to scroll back up here to the dashboard. Click on the dashboard. I'm going to drag my webcam over here to the top center. I'm going to drag my temperatures over here under the console. Now, normally I have them on top of the console, but here while we're running input shaper and bed mesh calibration, I'm going to have it up here so it's next to the camera. That is it. There's our printer. We're into it. So the very first thing we're going to do, because everybody wants to see the bed mesh, the height map. Obviously, I don't have one. So we're going to go back to the dashboard here, and I'm going to go ahead and bring my bed up to 60. And when it gets close to 60, I'm going to go ahead and bring the hot end up to 140. We'll just go ahead and bring it up now, so it won't cause either one of them to heat any slower. And then we'll have to home the machine, and we'll run a bed mesh, and then you can see how bad this machine may or may not be. I don't know. Haven't run one on it yet. It's been printing perfectly for a long time. So we're gonna dive into, if it ain't broke, let's keep fixing it till it is. Okay, we're up close enough on temperature now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and home all, because you have to have everything homed first before to let you run a bed mesh. So we'll let it go through the process of homing. Okay, our machine's now homed, so we're going to jump over here to height map, and we're going to click calibrate, and we're going to go ahead and let it run a bed mesh. Done doing the bed mesh, so let's jump over here and let's take a look at this bed. And there we go. So it's out 1.137 millimeters. So the high spot's 1.147, the low spot is 0.10 or 0.010. So honestly, being 1.1 millimeter out across a 300 millimeter bed isn't that bad. But let me show you how to look at this and understand what you're seeing here. So 0, 0 down here is your front left corner of the machine. So what we've got is this front left corner is really high. And the back actually isn't all that bad, and I think once we level this will come pretty close to level. We'll see. That'll be a video for another day. But this probe point right here, we were at 0.192, and this probe point over here, we were at 0.263. So I think when we pull this down, that'll pull that down a little bit, and like I say, another video for another day. But everybody sees these, they look at them. This is how you get it. This is how you interpret it. This is 0, 0. Up here is the front left corner. So this is basically, if you're looking at the front of your machine, this is it right here. This is the front of your machine. This is the front left of the bed, front right. There you go. That's your bed mesh. Now, the next thing that I would do before I print anything on this is I would go ahead, come down here, and run a input shaper. So there's two input shapers you can do. There's input shaper calibration, which it'll do it, it'll calculate it, and it will save it back to the config files. Input shaper itself will do it and calculate it. It will not save it to the config files. You have to do it yourself. If you want to see the graphs, then you click test resonance graphs. So we're going to go ahead and click that, and I strongly suggest you have filament loaded in the machine before you do your input shaping, because gears and stuff up there in the tool head that don't have any filament in them might have a little free play and movement, and that rattling will drive the input shaper nuts, and you'll have all kinds of peaks that don't make sense. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. It's about a 10 to 12 minute process. So let's get started, and we'll fast forward through it, and then we'll go take a look at the graphs. I'll show you where to find those. So here we go. Okay, there we go. It's done all of its calculations. Everything is finished, and it's generated a graph, and this right here will tell you where to find the graph at. So if you're unfamiliar with how to get to this file, come over here, under Machine, under Helper Script, Shapers Configs, and then these Resonance X, Resonance Y PNGs, that's our graph. So let's look at our X first. And you can see we've got a peak way down low here around 12 hertz. We've got a pretty high peak here at 40 hertz, which I've seen that on almost all of them. And then this peak down here, I don't really have any explanation for it other than there's a couple of USB drives laying in the bottom of the machine, and it may be creating a high frequency resonance. So anything's possible for this, but right here it gives you your recommended shaper of ZV. So you go up here and look at it. 42 hertz and acceleration less than or equal to 6,900. So that's our X. Let's go ahead and look at our Y. And on the Y here, got a really strong peak at, looks to be 38, 39 hertz. And then a little tiny bump right here, but no other peaks. So that's a pretty good Y-axis. Recommended input shaper, ZV. Come up here, acceleration less than equal to 5,600. So that's where you get to your input shaper graphs if you do it with the graphs. Under machine, we'll jump this back up. When you first get into it, this is what you're going to see. So under machine, under helper script, under shapers configs, X and Y right there. So we'll dive more into Mainsail and everything that's in here and all of the config files and everything in a different video. Not going to do it in this one. This one's mainly about getting input or getting Moonraker and Mainsail fluid installed. Let's go ahead and reconnect fluid. You can see the camera's working on fluid now as well. So, but I prefer to work in Mainsail myself. So when you get done with all this, there is this 3D Benchy Hyper PLA 16 minute and 42 second. I've printed several of these. I've had a couple of them that have failed miserably, but you know, YOLO, you only live once. Let's throw it at it. Let's finish out the video with this thing printing a Benchy, and then I'll be back to talk to you when it's done. So here we go. Hang on. And as I suspected might happen with this, as you can see, it is failing miserably, so we're going to kill this print. That's jumping teeth on the pulley. It's just the acceleration's way too high for this printer. So let's stop this one. We'll go ahead and open up Orca Slicer here, and we'll get it over here on the correct screen, and we'll try this again. So there's our Orca Slicer. We're going to click Prepare. Obviously, I've already connected this to the printer before, so but I'm going to show you how to do it. If this is your first time, you're going to want to come over here under your printer icon. Alright, so if you want to add a printer, you come over here into printer selection, scroll all the way down here, find the Creality K1 Max, 4mm nozzle, and then you just click confirm. So we're going to cancel out of this. We already have a printer in there. And once you get to this point where you have your Creality K1 Max, click on the little icon here that says connection. It's going to bring this up. And then if you want to send it through Mainsail, use your 192.168.0.158 semicolon 4409. If you want to send it through Fluid, 4408. I have this set to 4409. And then once you enter that, if you click out of that box and you can go up here and click Test, connection to Aquaprint works correctly, click OK, and let's find a Benchy. And there's our Benchy, and we're going to do this at K1 Max Speedboat, which I've basically followed all the settings for the Speedboat rules. Got to change our filament because that's actually Hyper PLA, so we're going to call it, or it's Creality High Flow Generic PLA. And slice our plate. Says it's going to take 24 minutes and 15 seconds to print, which is 8 minutes longer than the included one. but we also won't have the extreme acceleration, and 20,000 millimeters a second acceleration on a K1 Max is just too much. The belt paths are too long. The belts are going to jump teeth, as you've seen. Click print, click upload and print. Let's go over here and watch this. And here in just a second, you should see it pop up here. There it is. And this time it's actually going to do a camp bed mesh. So it's going to do a full bed mesh because I haven't changed any of the settings. And then it's going to come back and do a camp bed mesh and a little tiny camp purge line. So we'll switch over to the camera on the printer and you can watch it do its thing. There you go. We have a finished benchy, and we'll let it go ahead, drop the plate, and we'll wait on it to give us the total time here. So 25 minutes printing, 30 minutes total, 30 minutes. Well, let me switch screens here. Give you a better view. 25 minutes total printing time, 30 minutes overall. That's with doing the bed mesh and everything. What did Orca Slicer say it was going to take? 24 minutes, 15 seconds. And it took 25 minutes, 31 seconds. So, pretty close to the estimated time. And as you can see on the front of the benchy, let me go grab it off the printer. So as you can see, I don't know how well it's going to show up here in this light, but there's artifacts around here and around here. That is not VFA. That is ghosting. As you've seen, as you're watching a print at high speed, it was accelerating 6,000 or 12,000. As you've seen in the input shaper, around 6,000 is max recommended on this machine. So, you know, there's some tuning that can be done on this. Obviously, this one turned out way better than this one here. But there you go. That's it. And all total, from the time I started recording this until now, it's been 1 hour and 42 minutes. Obviously, the video's not going to be that long. But that's 1 hour and 42 minutes from start to finish. That was rooting the machine, installing all of the firmware, setting things up, running a bed mesh, running input shaper twice because it failed halfway through the first time. And, you know, so we looked at 15 minutes of input shaper, probably 5 minutes of bed mesh, and, you know, 30 minutes of printing benchies, 40 minutes of printing benchies. So realistically, from start to finish, you can have your machine rooted and all the firmware installed and be playing around inside a Mainsail or Fluid in less than 30 minutes. But that's it for now. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, and the little bell down there. Subscribe helps my channel. Like helps my channel. If you want to see the next video, hit the bell so you can get a notification. And the next video I'm going to do on this machine is we're going to try to take that warp out of that bed and get it more level. I'm going to show you my way of doing it. It doesn't involve printing out little spacers. It doesn't involve going back old school and putting adjuster wheels on it, flipping the machine over and jumping teeth on the belt or any of that. I'm going to show you how I do it. It works really well. I've done it on several machines and I'll show you how. So that'll be my next video. Keep an eye on the channel. Hit that bell. And we'll see you on the next one. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you that take the time to watch these videos. And as always, peace out.